move might make your head blow off.
Hey yo, it's a talk show host, Kana Lassiter. Join me for an episode of Relations, the most lit hour of adult conversation.
Hold up, you know you can't forget about me. It's 51 Spade, Alpha Male God, one half of Relations. You wanna hear the truth? Can you handle the truth? It's where it's at, baby. It's where it's at, baby.
What's good? Welcome to another episode of Relations. My name is Kana Lassiter.
It's your boy, Alpha Male God, 51 Spade, the ninja you love to hate. I'm in the building.
You already know how this goes. We got two exciting topics tonight. The first one is, can men be unhappy in a relationship and stay? And the second topic is how to bring up your sexual fantasy to your spouse. Are we ready?
I'm born ready.
Okay, let's do it. I want to start with the more serious one. So this is a new thing, and I got it from a meme that basically says that women will be unhappy in a relationship, and that's all you'll hear about. And but during that time, the man could be unhappy as fuck and still stick around, and just endure that. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like it's like you don't hear that. We broke up. Oh man, what was wrong? Man, I was just unhappy. You don't hear that from guys. You know what I'm saying? It's something specific that the woman has done, and that's how the relationship ends. It's never just like, I was unhappy. So I was taken back by the meme, and actually just kind of like, a dude made the meme. A dude made it, because this isn't a universal belief that men will can be in a relationship where they're just completely unhappy and not do anything or say anything about it.
That happens all the time. It's not a meme. A dude didn't make that up. Any of the above that you thinking about, that is absolutely not true. And the reason it's like that is because, if we being frank, women don't give a fuck whether this a man is unhappy and much less does his friends give a fuck, because men always are taught to take it on the chin, fall on your sword, and just move on. We've always taught to suck it up. See, women complaining is like natural. You know what I'm saying? It's like if a woman can complain, and then it's like for the man to go like make sure she okay or make sure she all right. It's never taught that way for a man, because it's looked at as kind of like him being weak or him being like a pussy, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, man, like pull your skirt down. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why a lot of women find themselves in relationships and they always asking the man, like, are you okay? I'm fine. You all right? I'm cool. And because we are more of an internal creature, and we keep those feelings inside. But you could definitely be unhappy. And I can speak from different experiences, go different ways. Like sometimes you can go to, case in point is kids. There's a lot of men that stay with they baby mama that are definitely not happy. They just stand for the kids. That's a prime example of being in a relationship and you unhappy. And you try to weather that storm because of kids. Like even when I was dealing with mine, I had like my aunties and people, my grandma, and they was like, the kids need both parents. So you suck up your pride and you like, I hate this bitch. You know what I'm saying? But you're staying there for the kids. Mm-hmm. And that's case in point number one. I don't want to zero on that word unhappy to like deep dive into it, because sometimes some relationships are, you start off happy and then women show you a new side of them.
Right. I just was thinking about it. And when you think of the typical unhappy woman, she is still her. Still cook, still clean, still suck your dick, still have sex with you. Hold on. I know not all.
No.
But I have been, I'll just speak for myself.
There you go.
I have been not in the happiest of predicaments, and I was still Kana. I was able to share that I was unhappy. That was not a problem. Or share my disappointment. It wasn't that I was keeping any of that a secret, but I still believed in doing the job that you signed up for. I don't believe that if you have an argument, you shouldn't cook dinner at the end of the night. The argument and the dinner is two motherfucking separate things. And I know people are going to have an issue with that, but you live together and you have been making this man's meals for 7 years. Just because y'all had an argument doesn't mean the job of making his meals changed. You can make the food, sit it on the table, and still go back to your room, but that's still something I believe, I'll say for myself, I have still done. Let me finish, because I haven't even gotten to my point yet. Let me finish.
I ain't saying that.
With men, I can't think of a man being unhappy and not doing something about it. That's why I said when I read the meme, I'm like thrown off because I've been unhappy and still been the nurturer that I needed to be. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be more mad and have a right to be more mad when you are still being the person that you signed up to be in the relationship. You're still being that person. So I'm not going to wrong my right by turning into the bitch that you're trying to make me. But men on the other end, they go off and do shit. Yeah, you're unhappy, but you also got a side bitch. Yeah, you're unhappy, but you also are out till 2:30 in the morning drinking at the bar because you're so unhappy. So I think what I'm trying to say is when men are unhappy, there are little things that they do in the home and outside the home. Whether the woman is actually paying attention to it or not is not the subject. There are things that men do to find some fucking happy. Women can be unhappy and still be very robotic and do what they do. And that, to me, is more harmful because the person on the other end is still getting the benefit of the person that he locked down while he's being a fucking asshole. She's still being her. So that's why I didn't look at the meme and go, oh my God, there are so many unhappy men out there. Yeah, they're unhappy, but they're cheating. They're unhappy, but they're getting fucked up every night. They're unhappy, they're not coming home. Understand that some of those things are because of the unhappiness, but it still makes people look at two unhappies. One suffers more than the other. And I definitely think women suffer more in an unhappy predicament than men because they still have to be that wife and that mom. He did not just whistle. This is the first time on relationships.
You know what? I saw you paint that movie screen that you just painted, and that shit sound good. But all I thought of was that whistle that I just did. Because, I'm not going to tell you what you do in your relationship. That sound good. A lot of men are at those bars because of their wife ain't at home cooking, because they got in that argument, because they are a real bitch, at the end of the day. So that shit that you talking, I know plenty of people right now and plenty of men that would definitely disagree with your ass. Like, they're not coming to the house because that is what's gonna get their ass locked up, because the argument gonna go from an argument to me putting my hands around your throat. So a dinner is not the thing about it. One thing I can say, and I saw me not too long ago, and this is the fact of the matter. And even I know it's full of shit because you've often said that. I want to get a rise out of my man. That is something that you said, not me.
I have said that.
That is something. Yeah. So you really think that a motherfucker that we gonna have a fight and I'm gonna come in and my food is gonna be on the table? I want y'all to listen to this. Zip, zip, zip. You know what I'm saying? So you really think I'm gonna make it from the doorway and my food on the table? Fellas, this shit sound good, don't it? You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be like, oh shit, we had a fight, and she still put my plate on the table for me to eat and watch my favorite, TV show. And she gonna sit there and be calm. Are you out your goddamn mind? Like, she waiting. You ever see kids like tiptoe in the crib because they just like, they don't know their parents still up? That's how the man come in the crib. Like, he creeps in because he like, it's coming. I don't even know where she at. Because you're not asleep. You're not going to stay in the room. You know, and the meme that I saw was like, women just don't want a man to be happy. And that's that little piece that he would have that sounds so good about you saying, well, I still cooked and I still put his plate on there and I can still go in the room. That's not happening.
You're exaggerating because never
no,
once.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are, because I
not.
never once said that I would
even.
have dinner waiting on the table, but dinner will be on the stove. And that's what I think you need to realize.
It does not matter.
I have nothing set out for you. Like, you were a good guy today.
Well, it doesn't matter.
But I still did my job.
Let me get my point. Let me get my point across. It does not matter, because one thing that you was also saying is you go into the stream. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to go into the details of what a man can do and what a man can't do. The topic is that the man is in that relationship and he's unhappy. You're putting in extra shit, talking about, well, you got a side piece and all this other type shit. The only thing that you're not going too far off the rails is that he could be at the bar. Well, he's at the fucking bar because his fucking girl is at home, ready to bitch and fight and everything else. And that is why he's there. He's not there to meet nobody else. He's not there. Your home's supposed to be your goddamn peace. He's there because he already knows that walking through that door is becoming another fight. So we might have started that fight early on in the day. Sex ain't in the equation because we've already in that fight. And it depending on how bad the fight is, it can probably go worse. I'm definitely not gonna get no sleep because women like to talk.
Okay, well, I think you are missing the point of the actual topic, because now you're making it very small and separating it into little arguments or little fires that you got to put out. When you're unhappy, yours. There's a whole.
Well, I would just.
That's being in a relationship just physically unhappy. I don't know a man that's gonna go home every day unhappy. He got other situations going on that he might not be cheating, but he's gonna find his happy. Okay. Ain't nobody just going home unhappy.
And that's not true. And that's what I'm talking about right there. The reason why you don't hear about it is the prime example of what you're doing right now. That's why you don't ever hear about it, because women feel like the shit is far-fetched. Like in the last show, you was like, oh, well, I don't really think women can manipulate. That's because that's in your head. Like, I don't know where you come from, but it is not in nobody goddamn head. Men can be in relationships very much unhappy. I just told you that I was in a relationship that's unhappy. It's not goddamn far-fetched. I wasn't in there because I felt like the person that I with was not supportive of my dreams or what I actually had going on in life. Anytime I tried to incorporate her into things that I had going on, she was disinterested. That made a disconnect in between us, which means that I'm unhappy at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to figure out in my mind, like, okay, was this relationship just based on sex? Do we have things like in common? You start doing pros, you start doing cons, then sometimes the cons start outweighing the pros, which means that you're unhappy. Yeah. Now, in my case, it ain't simple as just pick up and leave. You see what I'm saying? Because now I have kids. And I'm like, well, I can't just, if it was just like a regular person, yes, I could probably just dash and hit the door and whatever the case may be. But just like women, some people start thinking about time. And in my case, it's like kids. Do I want another person around my kids? The next person that you get, because I feel like you make uneducated decisions in your lifestyle, which you showed me, starts to show me like, well, can't just leave on that, because now I'm not just leaving her. I'm the decision maker. So now I leave my kids in the hand of you, which is also not giving me anxiety, and I'm still unhappy. So now I just have to sit and try to, for me, it was, I wanted my kids to be at a certain age where they could talk and, you know, tell me if something wrong and this and that. But in that case, now I'm sitting 2-3 years unhappy because I'm trying to let my kids be of age so
before they can leave.
Yeah, before I can leave and they can just talk to me. Mm-hmm. So now I have to suffer 3-4 years being unhappy.
Okay, so this is okay. Did you cheat in those 2-3 years that you were unhappy?
No.
You didn't. So you just basically were a dad and a boyfriend.
I worked. So, like I said, different circumstances for everything. And these are some of the other things that can make men unhappy. Key case in point. Even though you have my kids and even though you at home, I'm the breadwinner. So I work not 2 jobs, fucking 3 jobs.
Wow.
So I'm working 3 jobs. I don't got no fucking time to cheat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My life was basically like a hamster fucking wheel. I'm getting up at fucking like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm coming home damn near like at 9, 10 o'clock at night. My whole goddamn day is ate up. And then I got to come home and look at you. And I'm sorry to say that sometimes that fucking aggravates men, just like it aggravates women. I hear plenty of women, oh, I've been at work all day and I got to come home and see you on the sofa. Well, guess the fuck what? That don't feel good to a man either. When I've been breaking my back all goddamn day and I come home, I expect my goddamn house to be clean. I don't expect to see shit. I expect the bathroom to be clean. I don't expect to see no dishes in no goddamn sink. I'm not hearing excuses about nothing. And that was my life, like a revolving hamster wheel. And on top of that, my extracurricular things that I had going on that I'm trying to involve her in, because you like, well, I want to be a part of your life, Well, I'm trying to involve you to be a part of my life, but you ain't feeling the shit that I'm doing because I'm in the entertainment field. So I was actually doing music at that time, and you ain't supportive of that. So not only am I taking care of you, I'm also with someone that's not supporting my goddamn dream and things that I got going on. It creates unhappiness.
Okay, and you know what? Unfortunately for us in this conversational, in this situation, I have sympathy, but I lack empathy because I've never heard that before. This is usually the conversation between 2 women. And
you know why? Because you know why? I told this story. And, you know, and for those of y'all that watch Relation, I told this story about me getting raped. And everybody thought like that shit was funny. And like, oh, that don't happen to a man. Man can't get kidnapped. Bull fucking shit. Like it can. And this is another example of what I'm talking about. Is because when you start to tell people these stories, or you tell them like how you feel and stuff like that, you get scoffed at. Or you get looked at like a certain way. So you just don't say anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But a lot of men are not going to say anything because people like you going to look at them and be like, well, that shit don't make no sense. Like, come on, like you lying. You know what I'm saying? And the worst thing about that is like being called a liar, you know what I'm saying? Or you're stomping on somebody's feelings. I'm not saying like you're doing it deliberately.
Right.
What I'm saying is like, don't nobody like to be, that's like, if you get raped and I'll be like, well, shit, you was asking for it. Look what you dressed in. You ain't gonna take that shit like, you know what I'm saying? You're like, well, what do me being dressed have to do with me being raped? What's the same thing for me? Like, what does me having to be unhappy, you know what I'm saying, had to automatically equate to I cheated or I did something, or that's the reason why she just ain't doing shit.
Well, because a lot of men, I feel like it's both ways. Men suffer in silence, but they don't suffer in silence. Meaning, they suffer in silence, meaning they don't share. But they will let the unhappiness control their vices or have vices, find vices. I don't know a lot of men who just sit silently in misery and don't find something to direct that energy towards. I'm not saying that, I'm not taking credit away from the unhappy man. What I'm saying is, it's like, you almost wrong your right, because if you go tell somebody, if you get caught cheating, then that was your answer. I was unhappy. Or, you understand what I'm saying? I was unhappy. And so the word unhappy is synonymous with your vices. It's synonymous with all the bad shit that you do, because that's usually what you blame the shit on. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's women have a trauma related to their unhappy story. Something that people can sympathize with. I'm not saying I can't sympathize, but I only gain sympathy and empathy for you when I ask a question. Like, during that time, did you go do anything, or did you just suffer like a woman does? That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I think women just suffer differently because they don't go out there and find vices. Yeah, they're unhappy as fuck, but in most cases, not all, there are children And she's still got to be a mom, which takes up a lot of space. Just like 3 jobs for you take up a lot of space. But a woman with 2 or 3 children, her whole day is gone too. And she's unhappy. And she's a mom. And she's doing all the laundry in the house. And she's doing this. And she's doing that. You very rarely hear that story from a guy. So I apologize for having the lack of empathy. But it's not a story that you usually hear.
Gotcha.
And again, when you finally admit that you were unhappy, it's because you done got caught in some bullshit. And now you're saying to the world, man, I was just unhappy with her. So yeah, I've been chilling with her, and yeah, I've been drinking a lot. But this you're telling us after everything is falling apart. How about saying something before you go out and find vices and find other shit to do that's gonna make your right wrong? You understand what I'm saying? You don't share until shit is fucked up.
You know, when you speak,
like this,
you know how you get beat a lot of times in this debate because you speak from the perspective of you. And a lot of times I would suggest to you not to speak that way because that is bullshit that women ain't got vices. Because you know the first vice that I heard out that fucking female that told me that is, well, I just want to go out now because I was 17 when I got pregnant. I was 18 when I got pregnant, and I damn near just lost my whole childhood. And now I want to go out with my friends, and you won't let me. And why? Because I want you to be a mother? Don't tell me women ain't got vices. What the fuck does you having to go out because you got a kid at home have to do with anything about me? You understand? Like, if we gonna be a family, we got to be in the house. Guess what? Your ass can't go out with your friends because you have to be a mother. Women have all kind of shit that are vices that y'all act like are not vices. And the other vice is because y'all choose fucked up motherfuckers ain't got nothing to do with me either. That word, that what you saying right there, because you decide that you want to pick a bad man and you don't dive into his background to see what kind of family he had. Does he get along with his dad? Does he get along with his mom? Because you neglect to do all this type of shit, which is a vice, because you wanted to find somebody like your daddy that was rough and tough and shit like that, that used to treat your mama like shit, and now you finding some man and be like, well, you know, I can just take this shit and just be at home and I don't gotta go sit on no dick. Congratulations. I'm glad you can do that. But every woman is not the same. Different men put up with different type of shit that comes from the woman, and because they have some type of trauma and we're not their girlfriend, you know, like, the only difference is y'all have girlfriends that y'all talk to that give y'all bad advice, typically because they don't have the same type of man, or y'all use that theory of misery love company. So she's giving you bad advice because her fucking relationship is in the goddamn gutter. So she want both of y'all to be complaining about y'all each other man because she wants y'all to be on the same page. That's a vice too. You understand what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me that women ain't got shit. Like no vices. You might not like the vices that men have.
Yeah,
you know
I think the vices are clearly in different categories.
Thank you. But they are still aggravating to a man, or they are still things that some men look at and be like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Because me arguing with my woman about going out should not be going on. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm arguing with her. I'm like, you got 2 kids at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get you might want to go out. I understand your life went immediately into motherhood. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not finna have no sympathy for that. The same, because you ain't got no sympathy for me. I'm working 3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Just that's how life rolls sometimes. So I'm not going to have no sympathy for you talking about I miss my goddamn childhood because you got 2 kids and they trying to drive you crazy, this and that. Like, I'm here. There's certain women that's raising their child without a father. So those type of excuses, you can't feed to me. You get what I'm saying? Because I can be like, well, fuck, I don't feel like working 3 jobs. I feel like 1 job today. That ain't going to get shit done. You know, I suck it up. I moved on. I got it going where I needed to be. And I just asking for some support and shit like that. And I just wasn't getting it. You might not like some of the vices that certain men have. And I definitely know that going, you know, drinking, smoking, whatever your preference is, popping, you know, pills or coke or whatever, you know, those are some of the things that I feel like are, you noticed them when you first got with them, and y'all bypassed them. Y'all act like, well, they probably not as bad as I think they are. And then you find yourself in a relationship and you like, you know what, this motherfucker do like, I came here, he was high than a motherfucker. Or he buys a dime bag of weed like every day. Or he drink beer every day. Those are the things that you notice, and that's what it was for me. You start noticing shit that wasn't there, and especially when you live with somebody, it's different. Like when you going over to a girl's house and she coming over yours, y'all don't stay together. You know what I'm saying? But when y'all stay together, you get to see all of them, and I mean all of them, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you start noticing shit that you did not notice before, and you like, I never knew this motherfucker was as klutzy as she is. She drops everything. And shit like that just starts to bother you. Slamming doors to me bother me. Loud noises. Like my old lady drops the damn toilet seat. Just for no reason. And I be like, why are you slamming the toilet seat? I just let it down. No, you let it go and it slams. I can hear that. It's aggravating. It is. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it because I like my house quiet. I just don't like shit slammed. Everybody have like little things when you start to live with them that starts to get on your goddamn nerves. And if y'all not really friends or y'all not really gelling like that or y'all don't really have a bond, sometimes you can't get past those little fucking things. And they turn into big ass fights. You ask majority of the couples you be fighting and something, you don't even know why you going as hard as you going, but you going hard because that shit it didn't reach your last nerve.
Yeah, I get it. Unfortunately, though, I just don't believe the loud noises and the slamming of the toilet seat could put a person in a space where they can actually call that unhappy. You can call that annoying.
You wrong in that.
You can call that annoying, but if that makes you unhappy,
it's a
you might want to live by yourself.
Yeah, but it's a combination of things, and I really want you to understand. It's just like I go now from the standpoint of what you're talking about. Like, if you find out that your man is getting sanctioned somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you felt like, well, I'm happy here and I can give you some of this shit, you don't have to go over to this other female house. You wouldn't go that hard like you would. But you do because you like, I can give you everything here. If I'm your woman, be here with me. But you got to find a way to jail. A lot of times the reason he ain't there is because y'all not gelling. So those little things right there, what you talking about, that's what lead to that. It's like, if you ask or you just calm, like what I just said, baby, could you not slam that toilet seat? Like, that shit is like really, really aggravating. And they might say some shit like you, well, I just slammed, I just let it down. I ain't tried to do it. It's like everything I just said, you didn't listen to because I'm trying to talk to you now. I'm not trying to let it be a thing, but it's like, women, when you try to say something to them, they downplay everything you say because they think it's not a fucking big deal. What if I did that shit to you? When I'm saying something, it's a big deal, especially for a motherfucker since you say we don't talk. If we saying something, then that means it's a big goddamn deal. If you're coming from someone that don't talk, you should take that as serious as can be. I don't like shit slammed. I don't like shit like noisy. And I try to say it in a calm way to I know
what it is.
Uh-oh.
I know. Well, in reference to sharing these little moments or sporadic moments of unhappiness, things that get on people's nerves, I think there's a lack of sharing that shit on the woman's side, because women will go all day with you doing aggravating ass shit and not say nothing, because that's just a man. You know,
I find that a little hard to believe that a woman is not going to share.
I'm just saying we could be unhappy, cool, but it's gonna be. I don't think on the list of why I'm unhappy is gonna be you slam the toilet and you play the video game all night, and we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, it's
we're not. As a matter of fact,
I said it's the combo on.
I get
on
that.
the tape.
I get that. But you brought up a real valid point of, hey, I'm trying to talk to you now. I'm trying to tell you that this is very aggravating when you're slamming this toilet. Well, women can't go do around the house doing that shit every day. We can't do that. We cannot nag every day. You pull up in the parking lot, and the tires ain't straight on the whip. You ain't gonna be like, hey, you need to get back in my car and straighten my tires. You know why? Because I'm a woman, and a woman very rarely does that to a man. Oh, I don't like when you leave your shoes at the front door. I don't like when you leave your backpack on my couch. I don't like your SD cards and your computer in my living room. It's the living room, not your office. That's the type of shit that we're not bitching about, Dave, because that's petty as fuck. That's just who you're with. That ain't no reason to be like, I'm unhappy. I'm not coming home because you keep slamming the damn toilet seat. I understand that it's a combination of everything, but you're now saying that, hey, we're trying to give y'all little messages along the way. Well, no, that ain't the way it go.
Well, what I said was you ignore it. So it's not about giving a message. It's about your ass not ignoring it and downplaying it like your ass. Because women make up a bunch of fucking excuses because
it's not an excuse.
It is an excuse because you ain't listening. You always want to talk until someone is talking about some shit you do that you don't want to hear that you do. Yes, we do. When we addressing some shit that has something to do with your ass, you don't want to fucking hear it. Or you want to make some excuses for it. Or you want to say it's not a fucking big deal. If you say that shit to a man and that's a big deal, we'll try to control it as much as we fucking can. We don't sit there and say, well, ain't no fucking big deal. We can move it.
I always say it ain't no big deal because I got about 10,000 things your ass did to get on my nerves, but I let it go. So that's why I'm going to say it ain't no big deal. Let's move on, because if we going to have this conversation, it's going to be tit for damn tat, because I could go there.
Well, that's what women do. They do tit for tat instead of logically thinking. And that's what I'm trying to say right there. It's like the logical thinking is like go tit for tat. But guess what? At the end of the day, it's just like this. People forget that there is also an anarchy in there. So that shit that you talking about,
hierarchy, anarchy.
A hierarchy in there, and that's what you failing to forget, because you can't talk that shit because you don't wear the fucking pants. So be a woman and then sit your ass down somewhere. Like at the end of the day, it's like you acting like, well, let me do this or let me do that. We navigate a lot of shit. So since you wanna clean up and do everything and do those type of things, that's cool. Do those things, because we do also things to navigate as men that you want us to do. I know. I'm good with this shit, dog.
No, you're really not.
You know what I'm saying? I'm good with this shit.
Got on my nerves.
Hey, I'm good with this shit. I'm great.
Well, let's talk about something else you might or might not be great at, and that is sharing your sexual fantasies with your partner. I think we've kind of touched around this subject a little bit. This is a little different because we really want to talk about something that you fantasize about. And the reason why I really want to go there is because even when I think about some of the things that I fantasize about, it's really nasty. So I don't really know how you could, like, everything that's in your mind. I think some stuff, like, you might want to leave the closet just a little bit. Like, you don't gotta lock it. You know what I'm saying? But you can leave the door open like this much to let a little bit out. But if the door is like really open and you see that, you might not. Yeah. So it's like, how are we really going to have a good discussion about it when I feel the way I feel about it? Because it's different. Oh, telling your partner what you like and telling your partner what you fantasize about are totally different. Totally different.
I think it could save some marriages. I think it could save some relationships. But you have to remember a couple of things. You have to know your spouse and how far to drive the truck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a line there.
Yeah.
But you also have to know how far you can go good enough to get him in the same space with you in order to not gross him out. Because y'all women, like, nasty. Y'all some nasty motherfuckers. Like, I recently found out, like, my girl watched, like, gay porn, and I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't necessarily sure why, but I thanked her for sharing that information, but that's something I can't partake in. You know what I'm saying? So the truck line that she saw, she habitually crossed over and shared some shit where I was like, I wasn't thinking about that when I was asking this question. I was thinking about something else, you know? But I got to see what her mind was. And I was like, gotcha. So then it made me think about shit that I think about myself. And I was saying to myself, now if I say this shit, I'm gonna seem like a little boy because my shit is not like having sex with 4 women is not like over the top.
It's not.
You get what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you might ask your lady some shit and you got to know where it's like, okay, baby feed me. Like, don't start off in the deepest, darkest spot in your brain. Like, don't start back there and then come forward. Like, start me at the top and then gradually pull me in. Like, don't. She started like way back in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never told nobody when it start with that. Think about me too.
But this is the thing. I think if somebody could tell you their fantasy and tell you why, and it be valid, you could almost make sense of what they're looking for and not what they're looking at.
Okay.
So I think that's the only thing that gives me comfort is that I'm a thinker. And I'm going to think on it long enough to be like, okay, I see this in my head, but why am I seeing this? What is it about looking at that gets you off? And that's completely normal. The thing that gets me off in seeing the image that I'm thinking about now is completely normal. And all women like it, just like in different ways. For me, anything that gives a man ultimate pleasure, like the biggest orgasm of his life. So I'm thinking about all the ways a man can come. All the ways. And I can watch all the ways. It doesn't matter what he's doing. As long as the result is really...
So when they like to see women busting balloons with their feet, you get all on that?
No.
I mean, men.
But if a guy,
you just said.
Well, I would watch if the result is gonna be him coming like out of his mind. I could watch him, but they'll bust them balloons all night long and get off on.
And that's what I'm saying. Like there'd be a lot of times like couples.
I'm not watching the balloons though. I'm not watching her bust the balloons with her.
So
feet.
you want to watch him jack off?
I'm watching him. Yeah, and particularly I'm fast forwarding it to the last 5 minutes when I know it's about to come.
No, because he gotta watch the balloons.
I mean, I see what
you can't.
No. I'll hit play, and then I'll say, okay, that's what he's looking at, and then I will fast forward it to see him get off on that. Yeah, because that's the part I'm really looking at. That's not looking at the activity of it. I'm looking at the end result. Yeah, that's my obsession.
But he has to watch the balloon parts. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're talking about, like, fantasies, like, if that was a fetish of mine, I'm not sure, like, how I would tell my lady that, you know, the way those balloons and your feet look while they holding them. And that toenail polish to watch you bust them. See what I'm saying? To see how you looking right now? Now imagine someone got to tell the old lady that shit right there. And that shit
But you have to wait for the why, because that's going to be my next thing. Okay, so what is it about the feet and the toes in the balloon that are getting you off? Is it the feet? Is it the sound of balloon? So, it's got to be something in particular that you.
It is. And I don't know
the sound of the balloon is something. Yeah. Now, if you tell me that, I could probably relate to that.
I don't know. See, because I can't tell you that part. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not my thing. But I'm not knocking nobody for the shit that they do with that. Right. Like see how you just said, like, whatever gets my man off, that's gonna get you off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? See, with me, when I watch porn a lot of time, and I do watch a lot of it, there's certain porn that I just will not watch. And one of those things is stage porn. Like, I hate stage porn. But amateur porn, on the other hand, is not staged. So I intend to watch that. And I have this key word that I always use. My old lady hate like when I use it. And I always say, you know what? I like it when a bitch gets stretched. She always looks at me and be like, why do you say that word? Because that's what I like. I like to see a female stretch. I don't want to see them with nobody medium size. You know what I'm saying? I want to see the lips and everything
Just stretched out.
just get stretched. You know what I'm
What
saying?
is wrong with
See what I'm saying? Now, you first thing she say is, "What is wrong with me?" You get what I'm saying? That's because I hate women who fake. I just have this thing about women who fake, and when they have to endure some shit like that, they is not faking.
Okay.
You know
Now
what I
see,
mean?
but you see what just happened. I hope we caught that, and I'll kind of go back and rewind this. My whole face and my demeanor, everything changed when you said the reason why.
Exactly.
Well, women fake, and if she got a big, she getting stretched out, she can't fake that. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I get that though. That I can relate to, and so that is gonna be my message, because I know a lot of people watch Relations for advice or whatever, but that is what I'm gonna stick with. Is you gotta really think about the why. It's really understand that it's kind of be challenging for you to go in the darkest place in your mind and tell your partner what it is that you're fantasizing about. I think that first, before you even do that, understand why you like watching that, so that when your partner asks you, because they will, that you have an answer, and that answer might be the saving grace, because they may relate to the reason. And so now if you want them to watch it with you, or be in the room with you, they, even if the balloons or whatever are really weird, they are still thinking about what you talked about gets you off. And that could be a complete turn on.
It could be, but see, sometimes the thing about it is like, sometimes when people trying to gear you up for some shit that they want to talk to you about or share with you, see, a lot of times y'all done probably already had that conversation. So like the conversation that I just talked about right there is like, you'll be with your spouse, and they start talking about, y'all having pillow talk. So they start talking about experiences they had. Oh, I had bad experience with big dicks, or I had one that I just don't like dudes with big dicks, and you know what I'm saying? So you already exercising his mind to that.
You're going to be turned off by his fantasy.
Yeah, that you're going to be turned off by his fantasy. So it starts turning to a thing of, well, I really can't tell this girl this shit. Like, nah, because see, I like to see motherfuckers get stretched. And it's just not working for her. You know what I'm saying? Because I done heard her talk about, couple of complications that she done had when she done ran into King Kong. So King Kong ain't got nothing on me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that makes that person keep it to themselves. The other flip side of that is, when you're in a relationship for a long time, and this typically what happens, when you want to try shit new in your relationship and y'all have like this routine you do, it's like when you trying to introduce it to them, they want to know why, but it's like a different why. It's not like why because they intrigued. They like, why? Because this sounds not right. I've been with you like 11 years. And now you want to try, and it might be some shit that just popped up in my head. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I was out trying it with someone else, or I ate a side chick and put it in my head.
But it's hard to believe that
See what I'm saying?
at 40-something years old, it just popped in your head, nigga.
Sometimes
You done been thinking about this shit before.
That's not
you done
true.
Seen it before. Her ain't no way in 40 years of life you just see something you.
It's not true.
And that you know what? I want to try that.
Not true.
But you've never thought
It's
about
not
it before?
true. No, it's not true. You know why? Because I'm going to tell you this. I got this homeboy, okay? It's a true story. Got this homeboy. And him and his baby mama had, they've been together probably about that long. Probably like 10, 11 years, whatever this and that. Broke up. He done moved on. She done moved on. But, because of the kids, they were still in good standing. Often had conversations. And sometimes they had conversations about, they other significant others. You know what I'm saying? Because they were just cool like that. And his baby mama brought up the fact that her and her new dude was getting into threesomes. And first thing he said, he was like, you know what, 51? He was like, I felt a certain way about her saying she was getting into threesome. Because I tried to get her to get into threesomes when she was with me. And it was like, ew, or no, or this and that. You see what I'm saying? But now that she with this new dude, he was like, I feel like I missed out because now she doing the threesome shit with him. But keep in mind, in the time frame that they were in, threesomes wasn't that big. They are now. So you can't say that now that you reach this certain age that it just don't. Times have kind of changed. Like, when I was coming up, I wasn't in the squirters. I'm in the squirters now. I ain't see a lot of squirters coming up. You get what I'm saying? But now that I had got a chance to see them, I'm like, you know what? I think I like that. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm really into them. And if my girl don't squirt, I gotta say, you gotta bring in a squirter, man. Like, if you just gonna give up on me and you just can't do it, you know what I'm saying? You gotta find me someone. So I don't feel like I should be penalized because I want some squirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things. So you can't say, well, you turn this age, so it's like, no, it's not like that. I mean, things have changed. TV has changed. They brought in a lot of new shit that wasn't popping when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is now.
I get that, but also understand the resistance, especially in this day and age, when you have a lot of shit going on that will throw you the fuck off.
Gotcha.
So you get home and your man tell you, hey, I gotta have a talk with you. I want to get pegged. In your heart of hearts, you don't believe that this is his first time thinking he wanted to get pegged. Mm-hmm. You gonna do a full-fledged investigation.
You might want to explain that to your audience because they might not know what pegging is.
Okay, so pegging is when I think if in a couples, women will get a strap and will fuck their dude in the ass. That's pegging. Mm. So you understand that if you've been with your dude for 10 years and then he come home one day and say, hey, you know what? I think I want to try pegging. Mm-hmm. He may have just discovered the name and he may have just discovered that it exists and people actually do it in normal relationships or whatever to normalize it for him. But he has had the thought of something entering his booty hole before. It may not have been by his girl. It may not have been by his girl, but he has actually thought of the feeling he would get if something went in his ass. He had to.
So let me ask you this.
There's no other.
Gotcha. But let me ask you this though. Okay, we're talking about sharing the desire.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? With your significant other. So,
right.
So is that would deter him from saying something to you? So how are you supposed to make him feel because he's introducing that to you? And see that, because that's kind of one of the reasons why I that we're speaking about this, because there are some that might be normal, like you might ask your girl for a threesome and she might be like, oh, okay, that's, no big deal. Or she might flip it on you and be like, yeah, threesome sound fine. We should get Tyrone down the street. You know what I'm saying? It might, and then it becomes, a thing, but we still in the vicinity. But when it's something that a deep desire on what we're talking about, how do you handle that?
You handle it by the first thing that I already said. My first question is going to be, why? How? When? Where? I'm going to ask second and third level questions. And when you're ready... No. And when I'm not being literal. I'm not being literal when I say why. I'm asking things that you're going to ask in your background investigation of this fantasy. Because you're going to want to know when that first creeped in your mind. And you know what? I'm going to be smart and say, let's take pegging out of the equation. Mm-hmm. When did you start feeling like you got sexual pleasure out of something going in your ass? Because that's what it all boils down to. When did you first start feeling that might be the area you want played with? This is not the first time.
So you sound a little aggressive.
Like, I'm not being aggressive at all. That's just my voice tone. Yeah. I'm just going to ask the important question. I'm just going to ask the important questions. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I'm being honest, seriously, those who are considering sitting down and telling their spouse or partner something about them sexually that they fantasize about, I think you owe it to yourself to check yourself. How long have I been feeling this way? Be ready to expose if you've done it before. If you're going to come out with it, come out with it. If you're going to share your fantasy, share what led up to it. I think that is important to make your partner feel comfortable. If you tell your partner something like, I want to get pegged, and just let her walk away with whatever feeling she's having, that's going to lead to the negativity. Because she's out there thinking you've done it before. Maybe you're a little gay. you're letting her come up with her own narrative by not coming to the conversation equipped to answer all the questions that your partner or your spouse is going to have about that fantasy. Is it really just a fantasy? When did it become a fantasy? When did you have an idea that you might like that? You just have to be ready for that talk. It's not a 5-minute conversation. It's not even a 10-minute conversation. It's something that your partner might have to sit with because, hey, you've been with me 10 years and never did that. I like anal. I like it. I like anal sex. Every person I date is not going to like that. That's what I would call evasive. That ain't common. It's not common. So when I tell my partner this, especially if they don't do it, they're going to have questions, even though they might not even be into doing it. They want to know, how many times have you done that? Is this something you do all the time? Like, this is something that I had to be ready to say. And it's not comfortable, especially if your partner isn't the one having anal sex with you. Well, you like anal sex. Well, when the last time you did that? That's a natural question that he should have. I like it so much. I've been with you 5-6 years. When's the last time you did it? Do you do that with every boyfriend? Does it bother you if we don't do it? See what I'm saying? When you come to the table, you got to come ready.
Definitely see what you're saying, because I'm on that list. You know what I'm saying? But at the same point, but you know what? And I don't knock it, because I had a homeboy that was just really into anal, and because of how we were, you know, I'm not his lady, so I never questioned it. But you know, he would always be like, you know, I can't wait to get some of her ass, man. And I'd be like, first? You just bypass it. We open up gates. But I've come to find out some people really into anal like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, and when I thought about me and him, I realized, well, I didn't really get it because I'm more of a breast man. You know what I'm saying? I'm really into tits. I'm really into nice, large ones and small ones. It don't really matter. I just like tits, you know, and I'm not really an ass man. I think they nice, but I never thought about doing anything with them. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's where we veered lines. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't work out in my favor. But I used to notice that he was in a situation where he was messing with this chick and she didn't really want to, do it. And then he stopped fucking around with her, and then I guess she wanted to mess back around again. And he was like, nah, I don't really want to do that. And she was like, I'll let you do what you've been wanting to do. He was right on board. Like,
that means a lot.
Yeah.
That should show you what fantasies, how much they actually will control you to a point. So I think it's actually important for you to discuss with your partner, because if it is a weakness, I would say, it's turning into more of a weakness when you're saying, no, wait, stop, and then, oh, okay. You know, that's something that just makes you weak. So that would be important for him to share with his spouse, because now she has to do something about that. Because every time somebody come around with a little ass,
she got to do something about that.
She got to do something about that.
She got to put it on the line.
She got to do something about that. She got to do something about it. And it's doesn't necessarily mean she needs to have anal sex with him. Maybe they can watch a little anal sex before they get started in bed. There's got to be something that your spouse does to show support. What I'm saying is that you're going to have to be involved to the 10th power. Find a way to support your spouse in that fantasy, even if you don't want to be involved. Because what's going to happen is someone's going to show up that's supportive of his fantasy. Mm-hmm. And that's where he's going to go live that fantasy out.
So, what you saying that, because we're going to go back to what you was talking about. Mm-hmm. So now, if your mate want to be pegged, are you pegging them that night?
No. Okay. This is, for me, one of the things that I would have to find something equivalent. So this is why the why. Well, I have a prostate thing. That's where my G-spot is. I want my prostate massaged. Okay, so now I'm going to do my research to find out how we could massage his prostate. And if I have to buy him a toy, then I'm not doing it. I mean, but I'm just making this up as I go, because I've never had a man tell me that he wanted to be pegged, nor have I ever wanted to peg one. Mm-hmm. But I'm putting myself in a real situation to give a real answer, because we might have a person watching that's like, that's me. I want to be pegged. Mm-hmm. Or we have a wife that's listening and her husband wants to be pegged.
No, what's crazy too is because I watched one of the podcasts where one of the women on there that she does peg. She's never said that she kind of asks him to be pegged. She was like, it's kind of like one of those things where she catches the energy and she kind of just puts it on like a surprise level. But she said you can actually tell like how men might move or a certain way, so she knows
that they like that shit.
But okay, I
just thought about it.
I see where you stand with it. Yeah. But even with that being said, I think it's good to share y'all desires, but just as advice to whoever you with, you're definitely don't react like over the top. And I know it might be hard because you don't really know what someone is gonna come out with.
Yeah.
So that's why I started with balloons, and then Kana came in with pegging. You know what I'm saying? Like
it went from balloons to pegging, 0 from 100 real quick.
And it's just one of those things. But everybody has their own desires and things like that. And even I even had another homeboy that said he wanted to introduce threesomes to his girl, but he was like they had been together since 18. And I was like, hey, that might be a little hard because y'all been together damn near 15, 16 years, and introducing another woman into the plate where she feel like she might be enough, it might throw her off a little bit, but I would still bring it up.
That's important. I don't think that we're going to have really long-lasting relationships if we have a closet full of secrets. And like I think you should definitely put it on the table, but I just think it's okay to sit with it and understand yourself first, because your partner is going to have those questions. And if you don't understand why you like something, you can't expect your partner to understand why you like it. Right. It just don't go that way. If you're supportive of it and you've done your research on it and you stand behind it, it's going to be easier to talk to somebody about it.
100.
Speaking of talking to somebody about it, that's what we have
Tap
in for. And this is what somebody wanted to talk to us about. My mama's boyfriend used to be my sugar daddy. It was before he met her. I wanted to tell her, but he says I should just let it go because it's the past. But I can't keep secrets from my mom. What the fuck do? I really don't want to ruin their relationship. I like this one because she wants to tell. She wants to do the right thing, but she's also concerned about ruining the relationship. So in both scenarios, she's concerned about her mom. And that was kudos. I feel like she's okay either way because her intent is where it needs to be. She does not want to hurt her mother.
You ever heard that saying, don't kill the messenger? Typically, that's what happened. The messenger get killed.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, that's crazy because that has happened to me. I had sex with a mama and ended up meeting her daughter like later on and ended up having sex with her. And maybe for a man, I was like, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't realize it. And I was saying to myself, I'm like, I tell her nothing will come out of this good. I'll be pussyless. You know what I'm saying? So I decided to keep that information to myself and not push the issue. Because sometimes honesty, you just being honest just to be honest. And I wasn't going to get nothing out of that. Hey, by the way, I had sex with your mama a couple of years ago and no big deal. She, I feel like she would have, even though I'm being honest and trying to be the good guy, she still would have held something against me and like, you had sex with my mama?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't really know her reaction of what it would have been. So I decided to keep that information to myself. I know it.
I was offended. My homeboy did it. I was around when he was doing it. We got in an argument about it.
Why?
I was super offended that a person could be that fucking thirsty. It's enough hoes on the planet that you ain't got to go fuck nobody daughter or they mom. If you fuck the mama, leave the daughter alone. If you fucking the daughter,
but I didn't know that was the daughter.
You are exempt. I'm just telling you a situation where a motherfucker did know, and it pissed me the fuck off because that to me is just thirsty. He didn't even have a shortage of pussy. It was just another woman to conquer. And I just think that's fucking selfish. But that's another subject and another episode of Relations. My name is Kana. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and IG at Kana Lassiter.
Well, it was a good one today. I know y'all gonna like that. Well, these spikes should be up. Anyway, hit your boy up, man, on both platforms, Twitter and IG, 51 Spade. You're looking for the shirts of Alpha Male God Creation. Want to thank everybody for joining in. We come out every Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. Go ahead and help us support the channel. Podbean, support the channel. That's what I'm talking about. And like I always say about this time,